Hello everyone, I'm Jim Longworth and welcome to another edition of Forsyth County Connections. This is a special one because we're going to spend the entire half hour with one guest. We could spend 3 or 4 hours with him, but we've only been given 30 minutes to sort of go over a career that lasted 18 years at least here as county manager. We're talking about, of course, Dudley Watts, and as you wind down your reign, we want to salute what you've done and talk about some things, some changes and things we've seen over the years. Before we get into some of those, let's talk currently about the budget. Anything you want to mention about right now?
I do, and I appreciate the opportunity. We needed to include this. I will be submitting actually tomorrow. I know this will air a little bit later, but I'll be submitting my last manager's recommended budget to the Board of Commissioners tomorrow, and I think this is going to go live in time for a public hearing that is going to be held on Monday, that second Monday, June 9th, I think.
Right.
At 6 o'clock, it'll be in the Government Center in this building, and that's an opportunity for the community to provide input on that manager's recommended budget, and for the commissioners to hear that and make decisions about what the tax level is and go forward.
The economy, I was thinking driving over here, the economy over your tenure of 18 years has been up and down. We've had a couple major recessions. We've had COVID. I guess my general question to you is, over that time with all those obstacles, how did you manage to meet those challenges and still keep the tax rate fairly low?
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, I don't set the tax rate. You got to give the county commissioners the credit for keeping the tax rate low. They really give me guidance around what they want to see in a proposed budget. But every budget that I've submitted to this board over the years, the commissioners have changed it in some way. They've added some things. They've taken some things away. And so, my statutory part of my job is to provide a recommended budget to them, but to do it in a way that gives them the ability to change it and really make it theirs. And so I think I'm most proud of the fact that, as we've wrapped up those processes, the county commissioners can look at the budget and say it's theirs, and I hope that happens this time.
Right. So, looking back over the 18 years or so, you had bond referendums, you had tax reevaluations periodically, you had to deal with doling out COVID recovery funds. Sort of capsulize all that and how you met those challenges.
Yeah, so every one of them was different, but every budget you put together really is in the context of what the economy is at that time and how the community feels about taxation and levels of service and all of that. So let me just make a comment about the budget that I'm going to be submitting this year. It does have a very slight tax increase. It's got a 0.45 cent tax increase. The rate would go from 6,778 to 6,823. The overall budget, the economy we find ourselves in right now, is really getting back to a normal, kind of a normal economy with normal growth. This budget's up 2% even with the tax increase. It's only up 2%. It's a $580 million budget. The budget that we operate in currently this year is $569 million. And what I would say to the question about how does that process work is it really is. I've got a group of department managers who care very deeply about providing a high level service, but doing so in a very fiscally responsible way. That's kind of part of our culture, and that's, if I've done anything to kind of create that culture, that's important. And then we've got a budget staff who really does work through and kind of scrutinize the request and then really work through the process. And then ultimately the county commissioners make the final decisions, but it's given to them in a way that they can add things to that budget. They can pull things back if they want to, and we'll see what happens this year.
We have a few seconds left in this first segment, so just sort of wrap up with how you think the economy's doing, how the county's economy is doing.
It's good. We've got full employment, so the employment side of things are good. I think we're in a place where industries are changing, so we're having to retrain, and so there's lots of challenges around that. But overall, the revenue growth's lower. Sales taxes projections are coming in lower. Property tax we've got good steady growth in the property taxes. So overall, I would characterize it as really being a stable economy.
All right, we'll pick back up in just a minute. We'll be right back.
Emergencies happen. Every home needs an emergency kit. Are you ready? Start with a large suitcase. They're mobile. For safety and security, pack extra clothes, matches inside a waterproof container, a first aid kit and manual, flashlight and battery-powered radio and extra batteries. For nutrition, your kit should contain a 3-day supply of non-perishable food, kitchen utensils like a manual can opener. For hygiene, pack hand sanitizer, soap, bleach, and toilet paper. For financial matters, have these important documents: photocopies of identification, insurance policies, credit cards, cash and coins. For health, prescription medications, glasses and hearing aids. For your mental health, consider a simple board game. Your kid should match your family. It may be different if you have an infant, seniors, or pets. It may even vary from one season to the next. Update the kit whenever we roll the clocks forward in the spring and back in the fall. You can see other examples of what you may want in the kit at readyforsyth.org. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter at readyforsyth.
Back now on the special edition of Forsyth County Connections with our soul guest. That's Solensoul. He's a soulful person. Dudley Watts, the outgoing county manager. He's been here 18 years. We're sort of looking back on his career, but also talking about current things. One quick correction. We're taping this for the record on May 29th. This will air at various stations and YouTube and thing later, but you want to say something about the exact date of the budget hearing?
Yeah, I misstated it in that last segment, but there will be a public hearing on the proposed county budget on Monday, June 10th. It'll be at 6 o'clock in this building, the County Government Center, 201 North Chestnut Street.
Okay.
Hope everybody can come out and see it.
Let's talk about economic development. You've seen a lot of growth in that regard over your 18 years. I'm just going to mention a couple things. Innovation Quarter, talk about that.
Talk a long time about Innovation Quarter. When I started in 2006, came to work and I came down Liberty Street, and all those buildings that are now this vibrant Innovation Quarter, they were all shuttered buildings, and the amount of change has just been tremendous. The county and the city were kind of integral in trying to make that happen.
Because they were just old tobacco manufacturing, tobacco warehousing, things like that.
Mm-hmm. They were, and sort of the planets lined up. The historic tax credits gave developers some equity they needed to reuse those buildings. The county did some economic development incentives, and Wake Forest essentially found a developer that they relied on as their primary developer, because a lot of the space was used, by them. The med school is now there, for example.
Right.
And so, the planets lined up, and it's just remarkable. I walked down there for lunch a few minutes ago, and it's great.
Very quickly, Whitaker Park.
Whitaker Park was being discussed right when I got here. Obviously, it was a Reynolds facility that was underutilized. Reynolds saw where they were not going to need that anymore. It was built in a very customized way just for Reynolds. And so turn it into a kind of a multi-use place was difficult. But Reynolds worked and basically built had a nonprofit developer, which is Whitaker Park Development Authority. The county's got a seat on that board. That development authority took on a monumental task with city and county support to try to revitalize that area, and that area is amazing. Purple Crow is one of the largest growing companies that's in that facility. Obviously, the food bank's up there. There's some apartments that are getting developed, but that's another area of the county that was really shuttered that's now vibrant. And
Caterpillar came in and expanded. Good success story.
Caterpillar was interesting. Came in as a new entry into this community. We had some heavy equipment manufacturing over in Kernersville, and the Deere Hitachi plant at the time, which is now John Deere and John Deere Electric. They were recruited into this industry. They built a tremendous facility. Things changed. They converted it to a subsidiary, Progress Rail, but I understand Caterpillar's actually back doing some manufacturing there. They do heavy mining equipment, axles, and that was just another real success that came in fairly early and has been successful kind of through things.
And one thing we don't talk about a lot, Smith Reynolds Airport, sort of take it for granted sometimes, and yet some good growth and expansion there.
Yeah, that has been a journey. The land's always been owned by the county, but it had actually operated with a separate kind of governmental authority structure out there. So several years ago, we collapsed it as a county department. Mark Davidson worked through that transition as the leader there. He's now a department manager in the county, but it gave Mark access to bond financing and opportunities that, and really the support of the county infrastructure that's really proven to be amazing. And so we've gotten a lot of federal, a lot of state money in there. We've expanded facilities, improved the maintenance, repair, overhaul operations. The terminal building's getting ready to be updated. We've got 2 new hangars there that are adding to the bottom line, and really a development plan for that area. It's vibrant.
A lot of good stuff going on. We're going to continue in just a minute.
Does that golden dust have you on the defense? Stay ahead of the pollen with the Forsyth County pollen forecast delivered by email.
You've got mail.
The Forsyth County Office of Environmental Assistance and Protection uses a pollen sampler in downtown to capture readings Monday through Friday. They analyze the findings, create a forecast, and
You've got mail.
you have a forecast in your email for the next 3 days. Sign up online today.
Back now on the special edition of Forsyth County Connections with our guest Dudley Watts, the retiring, outgoing county manager. Has been here for 18 years, giving us some great service as we look back over his career and some of the things that have gone on during your tenure. Let's focus on the downtown strategy, because I think about museums coming in, public safety facilities, EMS, improve all sorts of services, improve for emergencies. Sort of lump that all together. Tell me what you mean by a downtown strategy and how has it developed?
Yeah, so when I arrived in '06, new city manager, Lee Garrity, came in about the same time, and then the downtown guy, Jason Thiel, actually started about that same time. And so there was clearly an effort to revitalize downtown. There's an old joke I hear the mayor say, it used to be at 5 o'clock you could shoot a cannon down 4th Street and you wouldn't have to worry about hitting anybody at 5 o'clock. And, but that is very different now. And
Yeah.
so it was the early days, Innovation Quarter was a part of that. But what I could tell when I took the job is there was just all this conversation about where the county, what was going to happen in downtown, and we were all over the place. Sheriff's office was over off 3rd Street. We had a cooperative extension service building over there next to Benton Convention Center. We had some lease space in Liberty Plaza, and then this building was constructed in 2002. Obviously, I got here in 2006, so we were just kind of getting ourselves into this building. And so anyway, we stepped back with Jason and with a lot of community involvement and said, where's the county's footprint, and what do we need to do? And the results were pretty remarkable.
Let's also don't forget to mention that you've seen an expansion with parks and those kind of facilities, improvements at Tanglewood, the Festival of Lights keeps growing, and as I said, parks and things for people to have recreation. Talk a little bit about your vision for that and how that's expanded.
Yeah, well, and a lot of that again was driven by board actions to expand, and what I observed that they really were invested in, and so we one of the things that I heard a lot about was getting the campground at Tanglewood back up and running, and so we did, and it's been a remarkable success. It spins off a couple of $100,000 of revenue to support county operations every year. It's crazy. But lots of work around Tanglewood, and really the other parks. This board and this organization has what I would call almost a Moravian value around taking care of what we have.
Right.
And we do, and so that was sort of embedded in it. And so we've, I think, taken good care of our physical plan around parks. But it's also wonderful to see some new parks that are going to we're going to open up Blues Lake Park here in the next little bit.
That's right.
An agricultural park up toward on some land up at Tobacconville is going to happen. After my tenure, but preserving open space, has been a value set, and it's part of the quality of life of this community.
The other thing is, when we talk about a downtown strategy, we talk about serving the community in general. We'd be remiss if we don't mention your commitment to the public schools and to students who go to those schools, because it's funded through the county.
Mm-hmm. We've done a lot of capital. The capital side, again, I'm going to give the commissioners all the credit for that. But we had bond issues for the schools. When I came, started in October. In November, a very large bond issue was passed in 2006. We did a bond issue in 2008. Took a little bit of a hiatus as the economy tanked through the Great Recession.
Right.
We did a 2016, very largest bond issue ever. And then in the last little bit, we actually looked at all our outstanding debt, looked at what we could maximize, and we issued another $80 million to try to tide the community over to a later bond issue in 2028, when the debt will sort of fall off and the community will be able to do that without a tax increase, actually.
Yeah.
So
So you feel good about where we are in terms of services, and we talked about parks, schools, and everything. We're in a good place now.
we are. The facility infrastructure side of it is good, and there's been investments. There's not a lot of deferred maintenance through that, and so I feel good about that. We are a organization that really focuses on providing a good quality level of service, but within the confines of not trying to buy any more government than we need.
All right. Take a quick break. We'll be right back.
Medications taken as prescribed for you are safe. They should only come from a pharmacy or healthcare provider. Counterfeit prescription pills can kill. One pill can kill. Medications taken as prescribed for you are safe. They should only come from a pharmacy or healthcare provider. Counterfeit prescription pills can kill. 7 out of 10 counterfeit pills tested by the Drug Enforcement Administration contain an amount of fentanyl that can be deadly. It only takes one pill, one time, to kill. One pill can kill. A message from Forsyth County Behavioral Health Services.
Back now on this special edition of Forsyth County Connections. This is episode 40 in the series, which was created with the supervision and cooperation of the man seated next to me, Dudley Watts, who's retiring after 18 years as county manager, as we spend this entire program looking back on some of the things that have happened during his tenure. I want to break this up into 3 things as we talk about people and their contributions: your employees and staff, commissioners, and volunteers. So let's start with employees and staff. What have they meant?
Everything. I get to work with the most amazing people, and I do think that public employees, it sort of attracts somebody who really wants to kind of give back and wants to serve the community, and so you sort of recognize that and kind of build a culture around that, and then you just see it all the time, and I'm so appreciative to work with a great leadership team. Most of which, some of which I inherited, but most of I've kind of worked with him and promoted him into these new roles.
Yeah, and we have Chantel Robinson, who's been on the show before. She's been sort of your right arm, and she's going to be taking over as county manager as you depart. Damon Sanders Pratt, of course, retiring, and he's been valuable too. Talk about those two.
Yeah, well, we work every day together, spend a lot of time together. They are both absolute trusted and wonderful advisors, and just good, solid people. I think we all know how we think about things, and so we just gel in a really, really great way. And I think that ultimately that benefits the community. But Ashley and Rosalind in our office are a big part of getting all that done. We're a small 5-member kind of team that serves the commissioners and the community, and
Right.
and it's remarkable. But great group of department managers, just absolutely the most dedicated people I've ever.
You mentioned commissioners, so let's let's give them some kudos here. What about commissioners?
Yeah, absolutely. The way this organization structures the meeting schedule and all that, you really do spend a lot of time with county commissioners, and I have just been blessed to work through my career here with wonderfully dedicated elected officials. That's county commissioners, but it's also sheriffs and register of deeds. I've never been asked to do anything that untoward and inappropriate. They have this high level of expectation of the community and how we conduct the business, and frankly, how we treat people. And
Right.
it's just, it's great group of commissioners. The leadership's great. Commissioner Martin, I worked with when he was in the school system, so I've known him my entire time here. Gloria Wisenhunt, our vice chair, was on the board that hired me, and she was chair of the board that hired me, and so
Right.
Gloria and I have that special bond. Richard, I give a hard time because he actually didn't vote for me, so it took when I got hired. But we've gotten very close, and he and I are very, very close. Dan Bessie's a super new county commissioner. Dave Plyler was on the board when I hired, left for a little bit and came back.
Right.
But Dave's been a wonderful, enjoyable person to be around. Shay Woodbury, Tanya McDaniel, just amazing folks. And
Everybody pulling together. You just don't see a lot of, bickering and fighting and whatever. You guys all pull together for the common good, which I think is great. But we're almost out of time on this particular segment, so I just want to get you to comment briefly on the importance of volunteers. We don't talk about them too much.
yeah, and they're everywhere in this organization, whether it's through the volunteer fire system, whether it's volunteers in different departments that handle things, whether it's the many people that serve on community boards and commissions, and really kind of advocates, just people who care about what happens in this community. They're amazing community.
It is. And we will come back with some final thoughts in just a moment.
Forsyth County residents outside Winston-Salem can be notified in cases of emergency. Code RED. Code RED is a free subscription-based alert system allowing residents to opt in and receive notifications from 911 about emergency operations happening near their location. The service is free and notifications are managed by 911. From the Forsyth County Emergency Services webpage, select the Code RED box, create an account, complete the questions, and you've opted into a program that will keep you alerted. Code RED.
Back now as we wrap up on this final segment of this special edition of Forsyth County Connections. Our guest today has been for the whole half hour, Dudley Watts, who's retiring after 18 years of service to the county as county manager. So we'll get a little personal on these last few minutes. What will you miss about being county manager?
I'll miss the people. I'll miss the excitement of working on things that sort of set the stage for something that is going to be good in the future. Through my career, it's been a remarkable timing, and I'll call it divine intervention or something, but think the planets I can kind of watch the planets come together to make something cool that's going to happen in the community.
And it doesn't always happen overnight.
Oh no, it's a lot of times it's years and no fine wine before it's time, and then things just kind of come together. And so I do think there's this guidance that happens when you sort of believe that the right things are going to happen and good things are going to happen, and they have. And
What will you not miss?
What will I not miss? What will I not miss? Usually a certain amount of stress on Thursdays every week kind of coming in, and I feel it, and I think I've dealt with it pretty well over the years.
You're reporting to the commissioners. You've got to prepare a lot of detailed information. You've got the public that could be really angry about a particular issue. You're trying to deal with that. So I'm imagining that you're going to enjoy your Thursdays now.
Yeah, well, and I've always enjoyed them, I've always enjoyed them after they're over with. But you know, it's you know, I really there's not too much I'm going to miss, to be honest with you. It's been a remarkable, amazing opportunity.
We mentioned that our friend Chantel Robinson is going to be taking over as county manager. Quickly, any advice for her over the air in case she's watching?
Yeah. She's just going to have to trust herself and her gut and her instinct. I mean, the truth of the matter is she's been my guide, and so she has done this. You know, and so she's gonna be great. She's gonna make some mistakes.
Prepared.
Very well prepared. She's gonna make some mistakes. She's gonna do things way better than I've been able to do them. But I have absolute confidence, and that confidence will grow.
Advice for county commissioners for this current crop, or maybe those thinking of running for county commissioners in the future, if they're watching this program. Yeah. Any advice for them?
Just, you know, appreciate their service and appreciate people who put themselves in that position to be responsible for making some really, really important decisions about what happens in this community. And so, you know, it is a selfless public service thing to do once you get in and do it. I've watched commissioners over time come in and not be what they expected. It's not, you know, it's not. It's really just basic public service, and
right.
So it's
a lot of pressure, though, you know, trying to serve and be responsible to the taxpayers and everything else. Final thing, what I know people are curious, what's next for you? What are you going to be doing with your time?
Yeah, so I am going to catch up on some things that I've not been able to do. You know, I farm a little bit on the side, and I got a sawmill, and I do some woodwork, and I'm going to go back to school. I'm actually going to go take some classes and some things I'm interested in, and I am interested in some other things that really weren't, you know, that kind of outside the sphere of local government.
What about if some other counties should call and they need an interim or they need a consultant? Are you going to do any of that?
You know, that remains to be seen, but I am interested, and I do think I have something to offer there. So we'll see what happens.
Well, I appreciate all you've done for the county. You and I have been working together for several yeat and putting this show on its feet, which we appreciate you doing that. Appreciate your vision.
Well, thank you, Jim. You've done a great job at doing this. My kids saw one of the episodes, and they saw me listed as executive producer, and they thought that was just a hoot. So, anyway.
Yeah. Well, it's like, you know, you could be an executive producer of this, or maybe of Mission Impossible, or whatever.
Right. Maybe I've got a movie
career in the future.
Yeah, we'll see. I doubt that.
But a quick thanks to Ed McNeil, Jeff Fabrizio for making things happen behind the scenes, and thank the audience for watching. Dudley, don't be a stranger.
I won't. Thank you, Jim.
We'll see you next time.